Hello, this is Tyler with Total Metal Innovations. We're here with Ryan from Ace Metalworks to do a tutorial video on the installation of the Total Metal Innovations Weld on Beadlock kit. This is the inner ring that welds to your wheel with our integrated anti-coning and water drain technology. This is one of our outer rings. We have about 40 different designs on our website. You can choose which one you prefer there. Our optional bolt protectors, optional hardware kit, newly released optional wrench that helps with bending up the anti-coning tabs, and an optional valve stem. We recommend replacing valve stem when you add our kits. Ryan's going to show you how he installs them.
I'm going to start with a step-by-step on how I install these beadlocks. There's a couple different ways that I'll try and go over both of them and show you the way I do it. First, I start off by prepping the wheel. I like to use these polycarbonate wheels. They're really good for stripping the paint, and I try not to strip more paint than I need to. A sanding disc on the outer part of the wheel where it's typically a little rusty or not as smooth as the inside, especially on used wheels. Try and only clean back about 1/4 of an inch of paint on either side, just to make sure I have a clean area to weld. Then after the wheel's clean, I take a wire cup and I clean any leftover plasma slag off the edge of the beadlock. And a crucial part, once everything's cleaned up and you're ready to begin tacking the inner ring to the wheel, crucial part is to make sure that this ring, that the 2 bolt holes are centered up on the valve stem. If you don't center that up, it can get in the way of the bolts and you can have a really difficult time reaching your valve stem. So there's a couple ways that you can go about tacking these on and welding them. The first way is to lay this inner ring perfectly flat to the inside of the wheel and weld the lip and then grind it smooth so you don't have any of your weld sticking out into the bead of your tire. The way I like to do it to minimize the amount of grinding is to basically do a corner to corner weld. I pull this ring out a little bit and tack it, and then make sure I get it good and centered before I weld it. When you're pulling these out and tacking them corner to corner, just be very, very cautious that you're pulling this out evenly all the way around and that you're making sure that your inner ring is centered onto the wheel. finished welding the inner ring to the wheel, the final step is bending the anti-coning tabs and welding them. So we use this tool that's going to be soon to be on the website. You can also use crescent wrenches, but this is a pretty handy tool to have. These need to be bent out to 90 degrees. And then welded on the inside.
Here you can see our anti-coning tabs. They're sticking up approximately the height of the tire bead, which allows the outer ring to have a better clamping pressure on the outer edge of the bead here and not cone together. The outer beadlock ring sits on here. We'll put all the bolts in and continue at that point. So after getting all the bolts started, we've got the bolts without the bolt protectors having the nuts on the back. You need to start snugging those bolts down in a crisscrossing pattern in order to get enough threads. One more helpful tip on beadlock orders that include hardware of 4 wheels or more, we include 4 2-inch bolts that on some automotive tires with a thicker bead are necessary to pre-tighten the ring enough to get the 1 3/4 bolts provided in the kits to have enough threads to get started. The other thing that is nice and handy sometimes is to use a 5-gallon bucket under the wheel to support it. They work really well. With all of our kits is a set of Weld on Beadlock instructions. They can also be found on every one of the Weld on Beadlock product pages on our website. There's a link to the actual directions on there if you want to see them before ordering or if you need them while you're doing the installation.